Welcome back. I'm going to change your life today. This one is called perspective. Okay, so this is the easiest thing that you'll ever do. All you have to do is change your perspective to solve most of the problems in your life. Now, the things that I'm talking about are the things that you cannot control. If there are things out there that you can control, there's other things that you can do, and we'll talk about that in some upcoming videos that I have planned. But these are for things that you just cannot control. Now, these are things that you cannot control that are not detrimental to your health. So let's say you're in an abusive relationship that you need to get out. There is no changing perspective on that. You just have to get out. So I want to be clear. These are for things that you cannot control that happen in your life. All you have to do is focus on the positive, change the perspective. Well, how do I find the positive? And there's horrific things that go on in this world. How do I find the positive? I'm going to give you a few examples that I use. I'll talk about my most recent situation. I just lost my 15-year-old Yorkie. I've had her for 15 years. And she, my little Lola, she was just a precious little pumpkin. She had 9 lives. She was a fighter, but she had 2 strokes and then caught an infection. So it was a slow, debilitating 4 weeks where she was in a solid decline. And she finally passed away recently, actually 2 weeks ago. So it's still something fresh, but here's the thing. I can't just focus on the negative situation. And yes, everything is going to die at some point in life. We don't live forever. Forever and taxes are unavoidable, as you know. So with my little Lola, it's not a matter of, oh, I knew she would pass away one day. It's just more or less focusing on the positive. So when she got sick, it started slowly. She had the stroke, and then she had another stroke. So she had some balance issues, and then suddenly it became a thing where she just couldn't walk anymore at all. And it got to a point where she couldn't stand, and then it got to a point where I'd have to carry her everywhere or prop her up to drink water or do whatever it is. And eventually toward the end, it was just, you know, I'd have to give her water with a dropper, and food consisted of, you know, those high-calorie gels that you give to dogs. So it was a very slow, sad 4 weeks of seeing her decline. And no one wants to see anyone suffer. And to have to sit there every day with someone who essentially you're just waiting for them to die, because you know there's no turning back from that point. She had an infection, and her body was just so weak that she couldn't fight the infection anymore. But she was a fighter, so she was clinging on. And I can think about all these horrible feelings that it brought up, and the horror of the whole thing, and not being able to walk, and not being able to play, and do all the things that she loved to do. Or I can focus on the positive, and that's where perspective comes in. You can absolutely change your life if you simply focus on the positive. So this is how I look at it. I had 4 weeks with Lola in the final moments of her life, and I was able to be there with her. I am so grateful for that, because I'll cherish those moments forever and ever. Gave me time to process what was happening, to deal with what was happening. It wasn't such a shock or such a sudden thing. So those are things to be grateful for. Those are some positives. The other thing is the way she passed away. She died in her daddy's arms, and I was there with her. And if I could have wrote an ending to the story, it would have been that. So that's another positive in this whole ugly situation that I can focus on. I'm also very grateful that I have a job that allowed me to stay home with her for those last 4 weeks. That's a blessing of all blessings. And I think if you look deep enough within any situation, you really can find the positives. sometimes it takes a little effort to dig, to find what they are. Other times it's a little more obvious. It doesn't diminish the grieving process, and I'm not saying that it will, but by simply finding the positive in everything in life, you will start to change your life, because positive attracts positive. Negative attracts negative. We all have negative people in our lives, and sometimes when we're around them, they literally suck the air out of the room. They change the temperature of the room, and it leaves you feeling negative and yucky. And once you start to get down into the negative, it breeds on itself. Negative attracts negative. So it's very important that you stay focused, that you stay in the positive, that you focus only on the positive stuff, because that way you're attracting more and more positivity into your life. Now let's talk about something not so extreme as death, but something that really I've had struggled with for a long, long time, 10 years to be exact. I've finally come to peace with this house. This house is over 100 years old now. I've been living here for 10 years. It's not my house. So as much as I want to remodel, there's nothing I can do about it. My partner is the owner, and he has no desire to remodel this house. He thinks it's fine the way it is. He doesn't want to deal with the stress of the whole situation. So that's a big pill to swallow. You know, Oprah is the one that says, your home should rise up and greet you. Well, clearly this home does not rise up and greet me. It kind of looks at you sideways and then lifts a leg. That's my impression every time I walk in the door. But I've changed that perspective. It's very easy. So the positives. This house is paid for. I don't have rent. We don't have mortgage. Who can say that? Very few people can actually say that. So that's a positive. I live in a great neighborhood. I have fabulous neighbors. We have a neighborhood watch. We have block parties. A lot of people wish they lived in a neighborhood that could provide that kind of community and sense of community. Also, there's some days I don't even drive. I don't even get in my car. I don't need to, because I can walk to 3 different grocery stores, the bank, the post office. I get my hair done. I walk around the corner, get my nails done. I walk down the street. I walk everywhere. Everywhere I need to for, I would say, 95% of the stuff that I do. So that's a good thing. It's a desirable area. We don't have kids, but people who do have kids would pay an arm and a leg, and they do, to come here and live in this community because of the school districts. Well, since we don't have kids, it doesn't really affect us in that way, but it does if we were ever to sell, because it increases the property value. Do you see where I'm going with this? It's not about what your cabinets look like and what your kitchen looks like and how your master suite is too small. It's about all this other stuff. Because let's flip it around. Let's say I did have all these things that I wanted, this amazing kitchen and this luxurious bathroom and this spacious master suite. Would I still have the neighbors that I like? The community that I know and love? Would I still be in walkable distance? Would I have a mortgage? Probably 1 or 2 or more of those things would just not exist. So you have to kind of look at what you do have and not focus on what you don't have. Trust me when I tell you, it is a life-changing thing. I don't want to say most people are negative, but I think for some people it's really hard to focus on the positive. I've always been a positive person. I've always had a positive perspective on things, but I can get in my funks where it's negative, negative, negative. And once you're in the negative, it's like a pair of sweatpants. You get very, very comfortable sitting in the negative, and you can wallow there for quite some time. So in order to keep yourself in check, I highly recommend you get a gratitude journal. Do you remember Oprah used to talk about the gratitude journal a lot? The real key important thing about a gratitude journal is it keeps you focused on the positive. I have been journaling for about since 7th grade. That's a long time. I have so many journals. I'm looking at them right now because they're in this cubby over here. I don't even know what to do with them. I'm thinking I should like burn them because they're very private stuff. But maybe in this blog series I'll pull one out and just read a few things, because it's good to go back and see how you were, what your frame of mind was, where you were at in your life. It's kind of fun. So I highly recommend doing a journal. But if you want to just get started with a gratitude journal, that's a great way to start focusing on the positive. I highly recommend it. This will change your life. Give it a try. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I don't know how long this video was. It's going to change your life. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you later.